I never thought I'd be in this situation, but I need to get this off my chest and hopefully gain some outside perspective. It all started 2 years ago when my sister Camila was going through a bitter divorce from her ex-husband Noah. Their daughter, my niece Lucia, was caught in the middle of the chaos. Despite the turmoil, she worked hard to keep her grades up, but seeing her struggle while her parents fought over every little thing was heartbreaking. One night, Lucia called me in tears after overhearing her parents arguing about her college fund. She has always been an exceptional student, straight A's, president of the science club, and has dreamed of becoming a doctor for as long as I can remember. The thought of her losing that opportunity because of her parents' financial mess didn't sit right with me. My wife Vivian and I are financially stable, and since we don't have children of our own, we decided to help. After discussing it, we set up an education fund specifically for Lucia. When I told Camilla about it, she broke down in tears, hugging me and thanking me for securing their future. We created a dedicated account where I deposited $2,000 every month with the sole purpose of covering Lucia's education expenses. For the first year and a half, everything seemed fine. Lucia regularly updated me on her college applications and scholarship efforts, and her excitement was contagious. But about 6 months ago, I started noticing something strange. Camilla suddenly began posting photos from high-end resorts. At first, I brushed it off, thinking she was treating herself after the divorce. Then she bought a new car. When people in the family asked about it, she claimed she had become better at budgeting or had taken on extra work. I didn't want to assume the worst, so I let it go. Then, last month, Lucia expressed concern that she hadn't received her acceptance package from her top-choice university. She had been accepted through early decision, but the school needed the first semester's payment to finalize everything. That raised a red flag. By my calculations, there should have been more than enough in the account to cover her tuition. I immediately logged in to check the balance, and my stomach sank. Instead of the expected $48,000, the account had just under $1,000 left. My hands shook as I scrolled through the transaction history. Dozens of withdrawals had been made in person at different bank branches. I looked deeper and found frequent transfers to another account, with descriptions like emergency medical expenses and textbook fees. But the amounts and timing were suspicious. $3,000 withdrawn the same week Camilla was in the Bahamas, $5,000 taken out right before she got the new car. Yesterday, Lucia texted me, asking if we could talk about her tuition payment. She said her mom had been acting strange whenever she brought up college, either changing the subject or getting defensive. That was the final piece of the puzzle. Everything clicked into place. I haven't confronted Camilla yet, but I've documented everything, taking screenshots of all the transactions. Part of me still wants to believe there's some reasonable explanation that doesn't involve her stealing her daughter's future. But the more I think about Lucia's dedication and dreams, the angrier I get. I have a meeting with a friend who works in finance tomorrow to go over everything before confronting Camilla. My wife believes I should also involve Noah, since he's still Lucia's father and has a right to know. But I worry that bringing him into this mess might complicate things even more. The hardest part is seeing Lucia's excitement in her messages about college, knowing what I now know. She even sent me pictures of dorm room ideas she's been saving on Pinterest. I couldn't bring myself to respond. Camilla has been blowing up my phone, asking to meet up to discuss Lucia's college plans. Her last message said she had something important to tell me. I have a strong feeling she's prepared a story to justify everything. Tomorrow, I'll be meeting with them both, and I know the conversation won't be easy. But no matter what, I refuse to let Lucia's future be stolen from her. I haven't decided yet whether I'll let Camilla try to explain first or if I should just lay everything out for her. Either way, I know tomorrow will change everything. Update 1. I never expected my last post to gain so much attention. Thank you for the support and advice. A lot has happened in the last 24 hours, and I need time to process it all. Yesterday morning, I met with my friend Oliver before confronting Camilla. He reviewed all the bank statements with me, and the reality was worse than I had initially thought. The so-called emergency withdrawals started small, just a few $100s here and there, but over time, they became larger and more frequent. Oliver noticed a pattern. The withdrawals often happened right before Camilla posted about her self-care trips and shopping sprees. The total amount missing was $47,236. Nearly 2 years of deposits gone. Oliver suggested filing a police report, but I wanted to give Camilla the chance to explain first. Maybe there was something I was overlooking. Perhaps she had transferred the money to a different account for better interest rates. I knew I was clinging to false hope, but she was my sister. I asked Camilla to meet me at our usual coffee shop, the one we used to visit every Sunday before her divorce. I arrived early and watched as she pulled up in her brand new car, the one that apparently had cost my niece her first semester of college. She walked in with a bright smile, ordered her expensive latte, and sat down as if nothing was wrong. "So, what's this about Lucia's college fund?" she asked casually, stirring her drink. "I've been meaning to talk to you about that. Things are a bit tight right now, and I placed the bank statements on the table before she could finish. Her words trailed off as she looked at the documents. The color drained from her face, but only for a moment. Then her expression hardened. "Are you spying on my accounts?" she snapped, shoving the statements away. "That's private information." "Private? This is Lucia's education fund, the one I set up, the one you've been stealing from." "Stealing?" She let out a harsh laugh. "I'm her mother. That money was for her future. I'm taking care of her future. By spending it on vacations and a new car? Explain to me how that helps Lucia's future." That's when she lost it. "You have no idea what it's like. Do you know how hard it's been since Noah left? Lucia needs a stable home, a mother who isn't breaking down. Those vacations were mental health breaks so I could be there for her." I kept my voice low, aware that people were beginning to take notice of the escalating conversation. The agreement was for education expenses only. Lucia got into her dream school, and now there's no money for tuition. "It's none of your business how I spend that money. You're just trying to control me like everyone else, like Noah did. This isn't about you, Camilla. It's about Lucia's future. She's worked for this her whole life." Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "Well, maybe she needs to learn that life isn't fair. Maybe working for a few years before college would teach her some responsibility." I stood up, my patience gone. "Lucia is more responsible at 17 than you are at 42. I'm going to tell her everything." "You can't." Camilla grabbed my arm, her grip tightening. "She'll hate me. I'm her mother. You should have thought about that before you spent her future." What happened next felt surreal. Camilla started crying, loudly, drawing attention from everyone in the coffee shop. She flipped between begging me not to tell Lucia and threatening to sue me for harassment and emotional distress. I didn't stay to argue. I walked out and drove straight to Lucia's school. She deserved to hear the truth from me, not through whispers or secondhand gossip. I found her in the library during her free period, working on scholarship applications. When I told her everything, she just sat there, motionless, staring at her laptop screen, where her college's website was open. Finally, she spoke. "Can I stay with you and Aunt Vivian for a while?" I didn't hesitate. "Of course." That's when my phone started blowing up. Camilla had apparently called every family member, telling them I was trying to turn Lucia against her. My aunt called to accuse me of destroying the family. My mother texted, saying I should have handled this privately. But then, something unexpected happened. Noah, my former brother-in-law, called. He had already heard everything from Lucia. He was furious. Turns out, Camilla had been asking him for extra money for college expenses this whole time. Now he's talking to his lawyer. I'm writing this from my home office. Lucia is asleep in our guest room, and Vivian is looking into legal options. Tomorrow is going to be another long day. My phone keeps buzzing with messages from family members taking sides. Camilla's latest text says she's going to make me regret this. I should feel bad about how everything spiraled, but watching Lucia quietly pack a bag at her mother's house while Camilla screamed about family loyalty erased any doubts I had. The same girl who used to beg me to play doctor with her toy medical kit might not get to become a real doctor because her mother prioritized vacations over her education. Oliver is coming over tomorrow to help me explore legal options. Noah's lawyer wants to meet. And somewhere amid all this, I need to figure out how to keep Lucia on track to achieve her dreams. Camilla just texted again, this time hinting that she has some interesting information about my finances that my wife might want to know. I have no idea what she's talking about, but I'm starting to realize this will get a lot worse before it gets better. Update 2. The last week has been absolute chaos. I didn't think things could get more complicated after the confrontation at the coffee shop, but somehow they did. Remember how Camilla threatened to make me regret this? Well, she tried. 3 days ago, I received a letter from her lawyer accusing me of fraudulently misappropriating funds meant for family use. The letter demanded that I repay all the money Camilla had withdrawn from the account, plus damages for emotional distress. When I showed it to Oliver, he actually laughed. But then, things took an interesting turn. While gathering documents for our response, Oliver noticed inconsistencies in the timing of some withdrawals. They didn't align with bank operating hours. Digging deeper, he discovered that someone had accessed the account online using my credentials. I had never given anyone my login information. The only person who could have obtained it was Camilla, from when she used my laptop to check her email during Thanksgiving last year. She must have seen my password saved in my browser. Noah's lawyer was particularly interested in this detail. Apparently, in our state, unauthorized use of someone else's banking credentials is a serious crime. But that wasn't even the biggest revelation. Remember that supposed interesting information Camilla threatened to share with Vivian? Turns out she had been telling family members that I had a gambling problem and had been stealing from Lucia's fund myself. She even fabricated fake screenshots showing transfers to online betting sites. However, her attempt backfired. The screenshots were poorly edited, the dates didn't match the transaction times, and some of the figures didn't add up. When confronted with this, her lawyer quietly withdrew from the case. The real breakthrough, however, came from an unexpected source. My aunt, the same one who accused me of destroying the family, called me yesterday in tears. Apparently, Camilla had pulled the same stunt with her last year, borrowing $20,000 for Lucia's college application fees, which she never repaid. She had been too ashamed to tell anyone. Once she spoke up, others followed. 2 more relatives came forward with similar stories. One had lent Camilla $15,000 for Lucia's medical insurance. Another had co-signed a loan that Camilla claimed was for advanced placement courses. Through it all, Lucia has remained incredibly strong. She's still staying with us and focusing on her studies. Yesterday, she found her old piggy bank in her room at Camilla's house. It was a small moment, but it reminded me that she still has hope. And as long as she does, I won't stop fighting for her future, the one where she had been saving her babysitting money for medical school supplies since she was 14, empty. Noah has been surprisingly supportive through all of this. He admitted he should have been more attentive to the financial situation during their marriage. Now, he's working with his bank to trace years of suspicious transactions. Each new discovery makes me wonder just how long this pattern has been going on. The family dynamics have shifted dramatically. Those who once defended Camilla have gone silent after seeing the evidence. Even my mother, who initially told me to handle things privately, has now stopped taking Camilla's calls. It's like watching a house of cards collapse. This morning, Oliver called with news that sent a chill through me. He uncovered another account, one opened in Lucia's name that we hadn't known about. Apparently, Camilla had been receiving separate checks from Noah for Lucia's expenses, apart from child support. That money is gone too. Camilla's response to all of this? She checked herself into a wellness retreat, claiming the stress of being attacked by her family was taking a toll on her health. She posted a long Facebook status about cutting off toxic relatives and prioritizing self-care. The comments section has turned into a battleground. We have a meeting with the district attorney tomorrow. Noah's lawyer believes this case has gone beyond civil court. The amount of money involved, the identity theft, the repeated fraud, it's serious. A part of me struggles with the thought of my sister facing legal consequences. But then I look at Lucia, sitting at our dining room table, working on scholarship applications. That's when I know this has to stop. Last night, Vivian found some old home videos. Lucia at 12, playing hospital with her stuffed animals, wearing the toy stethoscope I gave her for Christmas. She was already talking about medical school back then. We are not letting that dream die. I just received a text from an unknown number. It's a screenshot of more bank statements, accompanied by a message. Would be a shame if everyone knew where the money really went. But I'm not even worried anymore. We have the truth on our side. Lucia just asked me to help her prepare for an interview with the college financial aid office tomorrow. She wants to explain her situation herself. That's more courage than her mother has shown through this entire mess. The DA's office wants to meet with everyone Camilla has borrowed from. I have a strong feeling this is just the tip of the iceberg. Final update. It has been 6 months since my last post, and I've been waiting to share this update until everything was fully settled. What happened wasn't just justice, it was karma at its finest. Remember those mysterious bank statements Camilla threatened to expose? It turns out she had been running similar scams with multiple family members for years. The DA's investigation uncovered that she had taken over $180,000 from relatives, always using her children's education as an excuse. But here's where it gets even more interesting. She had been meticulously documenting everything, thinking it would somehow protect her. Ironically, those records became her downfall. She had written down every deception, every manipulation, and even detailed notes on which emotional triggers worked best on different family members. Her notebook read like a con artist's playbook. When the DA's office saw it, they were stunned. She had essentially documented her own crimes. But the real satisfaction came from something else entirely. Remember Noah's lawyer looking into their old finances? They discovered that Camilla had hidden money during their divorce, a significant amount. She had been transferring funds to a secret account for years before they split. The judge was far from pleased. The court reopened their divorce settlement, and Noah was awarded full custody of their younger son, who had been living with Camilla. She was also ordered to repay not only the hidden assets, but punitive damages as well. The look on her face when the judge made the announcement is something I will never forget. Lucia moved in with us permanently. The college's financial aid office was surprisingly understanding about her situation, especially after several other parents wrote letters in support of her case. They offered her a combination of grants and scholarships that covered most of her tuition. She started pre-med this fall. But here's the sweetest part. Remember that wellness retreat Camilla escaped to? She made a huge show on social media about her healing and finding herself. She posted daily about toxic family members and how she was the real victim. Well, she had been funding her stay there with a credit card she opened in Lucia's name. That caught the attention of the credit card company's fraud department, which opened an entirely new investigation. The DA uncovered evidence that she had been committing identity theft against both her children since they were minors. She had opened multiple credit cards, taken out loans, and even leased a car using their information. All those luxury purchases she flaunted on social media had been built on a foundation of stealing from her own kids. Last month, Camilla was sentenced. She's facing 3 years in prison, followed by 5 years of probation. She's also required to pay restitution to everyone she defrauded, including both of her children. The judge even scheduled her monthly restitution payments to match the amount she spent on her last vacation to the Bahamas. The family's reaction was priceless. Those who initially defended her are now mortified as their own stories of being conned come to light. My mother, who once told me to handle things privately, played a key role in gathering evidence from other family members. It turns out Camilla had borrowed $35,000 from her under the guise of covering my supposed gambling problem, a problem that never existed. Yesterday, Lucia received her first semester grades, straight A's. She proudly taped them to our fridge right next to her work schedule from the research lab where she's interning. That same day, we got notice that Camilla's appeals had been denied. She tried to argue that she had a shopping addiction and needed treatment rather than punishment. The judge wasn't impressed. The karma didn't stop there. Remember the dirt she claimed to have on me? She attempted to sell a story to local news outlets about financial misconduct at my company. But the investigation that followed exposed her own wrongdoings instead. She had been embezzling from her own workplace for years. Her former employer is now pressing charges. Oliver helped us establish a new education trust for Lucia, this time with ironclad protections. The family members Camilla defrauded have been contributing what they can to help rebuild Lucia's future. Even those who can't contribute financially have been sending care packages, textbooks, and words of encouragement. Camilla's social media has gone silent, but not before she made one final post accusing me of orchestrating a vast conspiracy against her. The comment section quickly flooded with people sharing their own experiences of being manipulated by her. She deleted her accounts the next day. This morning, Lucia showed me her application essay for a prestigious summer medical program. She wrote about resilience and learning, that sometimes the hardest lessons come from those closest to you. She got accepted with a full scholarship. The irony? Camilla's self-care retreat is now under investigation for fraud. Apparently, she wasn't their only client, funding their stay with stolen money. Her attempt to escape consequences only led to even more of her schemes being exposed. As for me, I've learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't something you plan. It's simply letting someone's own actions catch up with them. Camilla spent years building a house of cards, and all I had to do was refuse to keep playing along. Lucia just left for her evening lab session, wearing the stethoscope Noah got her for Christmas. She's now talking about specializing in forensic medicine, something about being inspired by recent events.